Joining us right now, though, Councilwoman Karen Gibson. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
Well, appreciate you joining us today on the show. Let's start off with the stormwater meeting from last night, and you had two town hall meetings back-to-back nights. So what did you hear from the citizens during those meetings?
Frustration from both nights, and I understand that. I get that. I still say we're working on it. We're trying to figure out a solution, and so. But it was good to hear from the people. It was. It was very good for me to see where they're coming from and where I need to go with it.
What do you think is the overall goal going forward for stormwater rights? And I know all the council has to get together and talk about all of this, and that's one of the things y'all will be doing in the future. But for you, what do you think the goal is? Is it to completely redo the structure as it stands right now, or is it to take from what we have and adjust it just a little bit?
I think what you're going to see come out of this possibly is maybe a hybrid of what we have, maybe more of a tiered structure than just impervious surface, and that may be the answer. We'll look at something probably more along those lines. The mayor is going to be presenting a tier structure. We haven't seen numbers on that. We haven't seen anything on that yet, but I'll look for something more along those lines.
What is the timeline as far as getting something done?
I'm hoping very soon, and that was one reason I didn't want it to go back to committee. If you kick it back to a committee, you're looking at 6 months to a year.
Right.
And the committee's done their job. The committee did their job, presented it to council. Council accepted it. The committee has done their job. Now it's our job to go in and tweak it. Now, do I think it's going to be in the next week? No. But it's my goal to get it done as quickly as possible.
We're visiting with Councilwoman Karen Gibson. A question that's been raised out there is about the money that the city is bringing in now compared to what the old structure looked like. Will the city be bringing in, under the current structure that will probably be changed, was the city scheduled to bring in more money or about the same amount of money?
And I think that's a big fallacy that's out there. We're bringing in about $1.9 million a month, which we need $24 million a year to pay debt service on this enterprise fund. And so, which is what we would have had with the increase anyway. So it's not, that's when we say revenue neutral, there you go. That's what it is. And we cannot, and there again, we cannot make money on these enterprise funds. We bring in enough money to pay the debt service. So it's not like we're reaping all this money in. Mm-hmm. We're bringing in enough money to pay the debt service on these funds.
Visiting with Councilwoman Karen Gibson, you've also, I know you and just about everyone else. So another council member, Jim Gert, has brought up churches. And as far as this, structure goes, are we looking at a total restructuring of how of what churches pay, or is that still up in the air right now?
That's kind of still up in the air. I think if you see a hybrid, it'll just depend on how we go. Now, churches have been in every discussion, and so I don't want people to think that's not in the discussions, that we're not concerned, because we are. Mm-hmm. And there again, the concern is the smaller congregations that have these buildings with the big footprint, and that's a problem. We understand that. It was in the conversation when we visited about it on the dais 2 weeks ago, and every conversation that I've had, it's been in that conversation. So it's something that I promise you will be looked at.
Visiting with Councilwoman Karen Gibson. Another reason that I wanted to have you on, it deals with a reading of a second ordinance that really, in my opinion, hasn't gotten a lot of press out there, but it's a oil and gas resolution that's going under a second reading. It passed at the previous council meeting by a vote of 4-3, if I'm correct on that, with you, Councilman Griffith, and the mayor voting against this ordinance. Tell listeners what they need to know about this and why you voted against it.
I voted against it. All of the amendments that were brought were vetted out in committee. The experts went to the committees. They talked all of these amendments through in committee. Everyone that was on that committee talked through it, discussed the pros and cons, and it was still voted down in committee. So then they bring it to council and then vote for them. That doesn't make any sense to me. What the committee brought to us was a very good ordinance, a very solid ordinance, and will help growth in North and East Lubbock. Now, I'll tell you, if we go with the 600-foot setbacks, what we're going to be doing is hurting the growth of rooftops in North and East Lubbock, which is really what our focus has been over the last, I don't know, how many years. What's going to happen is these oil companies, and remember, it's not like we've got this great big oil boom in Lubbock and people are coming into the city to drill for oil.
Right.
We have a strip, a viable strip across North and East Lubbock, and it's basically just a strip across there. If that 600-foot passes, these oil companies will go ahead and permit this land. And they'll go ahead and get their permits because they're going to defend their rights, as they should. I mean, that's what they're going to do. So then you're going to hurt all that development on the east side of Lubbock because then developers can't come in. Well, because now you've gone to basically like a 20-acre span.
What are the arguments being used by some others on the council? And it looks to me as though this has sort of been the brainchild of Councilwoman Latrell Joy and Councilman Victor Hernandez, who have been spearheading this. What are their arguments for voting for it and wanting this 600-foot requirement?
Well, I think a lot of the group from the health department went to them, and they're concerned about the water. But a lot of their concerns, and this is my opinion from speaking to people that are in the oil industry and the people that were on the committee, their concerns are what the fracking and so forth will do to the water. That type of fracking is not being done in our area. We don't have those formations. So that's not even part of what we do here. And to me, it's unfounded.
And because it passed on the first reading, and Councilman Jim Gerald, it looks like he was the deciding vote on that one. If it passes on this, is it your opinion that this could hurt jobs? This could hurt future residences as well?
I think it could hurt development in North and East Lubbock, and like I said, that's been a focus of this council and past councils on what we're going to do with that area. Everybody's very concerned that the city is growing north and west and southwest, and nothing's happening east and northeast. Well, this is just going to squelch that completely.
Very
because they can't. Yeah, it's very, very interesting, and I think this will just shut it down.
Visiting with Councilwoman Karen Gibson. I guess for those out there, you're still against this. I would assume the votes are still going the same way. I know there's a group out there called the West Texas Accountability Project. They're urging people to show up at City Hall and voice their opinion. Folks who want to be on y'all's side of this and on the development side of things, I guess you're encouraging people to show up and speak their mind as well.
I've talked to a couple of people. I'm not going out and recruiting people to be there. I do think that people that are looking at development in that part of town, people that are wanting to develop, the oil people need to show up and give the facts. Give the true facts of what this is going to do, how the type of fracking we do versus what this is based on.
Yeah.
So I do encourage people to show up on both sides, and I do understand people's opposing opinions, and I respect it. But I think the facts need to be put on the table.
Councilwoman Karen Gibson, appreciate your time today, and we'll visit with you in the future.
Sure. Thanks, Chad.
Have a good one.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
That's Councilwoman Karen Gibson here on the Chad Hasty Show.